My name is Emily, a 32-year-old housewife working part-time. My husband, Michael, is 2 years older than me, and we have a daughter, Sophie, who is almost 5. Michael is a manager in the production control department at a clothing manufacturer. After graduating from college, I worked as a teller at a suburban branch of a bank. I met Michael through a mutual friend. He seemed a bit quiet and reserved compared to my sporty nature, making me want to protect him. A year after we started dating, he proposed, we got married, and the following year, our daughter was born. My mother, known for her strong personality, comes from a rural area. It seems I inherited her traits, as I tend to take the lead at home. Now that Sophie has started kindergarten, I work part-time at a nearby supermarket 3 times a week. My parents, after early retirement, gave us their house and moved to a used vacation home near a ski resort. We live in the house they gave us. My father, who started making soba noodles as a hobby, opened a small soba noodles restaurant. The location along the main road brings in decent business. My mother makes crepes with buckwheat flour. And their place has gained a quirky reputation as a restaurant where you can eat handmade soba noodles and delicious crepes. They are living a carefree life. On the other hand, my in-laws, who live about 30 minutes away by car, are problematic. My mother-in-law comes from a prestigious old family, and my father-in-law married into that family. Naturally, she is very dominant and dotes on my husband Michael, who is their heir. Michael, clearly a mama's boy, often goes back to his parents' house. She, wanting a male heir, doesn't care for our daughter Sophie and constantly pressures me to have a son. Even when we visit with Sophie, she says, "Wow, Sophia, you've grown so much." "Grandma, my name is Sophie." "You still don't remember?" "Oh, is that so?" "Well, it doesn't matter. That's why I don't like you, Grandma." Goodness, this child is so rude. "I wonder who she takes after," she says, looking at me with a frown. "She's my child, so she's honest." I say to myself quietly. Because of this, Sophie doesn't warm up to her. My father-in-law, being almost invisible, doesn't interest Sophie either. This constant tension has gradually estranged us from them. Meanwhile, Sophie adores my parents, saying, "I love Grandpa's soba noodles and Grandma's crepes." My mother-in-law still calls my husband Mikey, and they spend most of their time chatting. Michael constantly calls her a mommy. He's such a mama's boy, it gives me chills. When she sees me, she says, "Emily. Our family needs a male heir. A daughter just won't do. Have a son soon." As if I could just pop one out, so I brushed her off. Our neighbor has a grandson. "They're so happy to have a good daughter-in-law," she sighs. "And compared to them, we." She trails off, making it clear she blames me. I don't know if it's an old family or a famous family, but it's too much of an anachronism. My father-in-law, unable to oppose her, just nods along. Despite this, I endure for the sake of my daughter, who I love dearly. But Michael often says, "If only Sophie were a boy." When I ask, "What's wrong with a girl?" he responds, "But mommy says." Then my mother-in-law calls me after hearing about our communication from Michael. "Why are you mistreating Mikey? As a wife, can't you take care of your husband?" I push back against such comments. "Oh, do you take care of your husband?" I haven't heard him speak in a long time. "How dare you? You wicked daughter-in-law. If you mistreat Mikey again, I won't forgive you." "Humph, if I'm wicked, then you're a devil. You should really cut the cord with your son." I was now in a full-blown war with her. One day, my husband came to me with a request. My parents want to go on a trip, and I'd like to help them out a bit financially. He asked me to come up with about $1,000. Where do you think we have that kind of money? You know how much you make, right? Well, yeah. Then you should understand. We want to go on a trip too. I let out my frustration. But, my parents are getting old, soon they won't be able to travel anymore. They want to go while they still can. He pleaded emotionally. Isn't this a way of showing our respect to them? He appealed to my emotions. I get it, but can't they manage with their own money? They bought a lot of travel gear and now don't have enough for the trip itself. Unbelievable. They should have planned better, they are just like you. Don't be so harsh. Don't you feel sorry for them? I don't feel sorry for them at all. Stop trying to play the good guy at our expense. But. No buts. He shrank in front of me as I stand with my arms crossed like a sentinel. Our daughter, watching this, clapped her cute little hands and said, "Mommy, you're so cool." My husband, unable to stand up to his scary mother, called her to tell her he couldn't get the money. Honestly, your wife is useless. If she can't even support her husband's parents, she's not real family. Do something about it. She works part-time. Doesn't she? She should have some savings. The trip is coming up soon, so hurry up. In the end, he secretly withdrew $1,000 from Sophie's savings to avoid his mother's wrath. When I found out, I was furious and stormed over to their house. "Hi, I need to talk to you about the trip." "Oh, what's this all of a sudden?" "Don't play dumb." "What do you mean by asking for money for the trip? Didn't my son give us the money out of filial piety? What's wrong with that?" She was already in full battle mode. "He took the money from our daughter's savings. This is unacceptable, don't you think?" "It doesn't matter. She'll get married and leave eventually, so spending money on her is a waste." "What are you talking about? She's my precious child. Spending money on your child is a parent's duty." She, with a resigned look, said, "Honestly, why did we take you as a daughter-in-law? You haven't even given us a male heir and are of no use to this family. I didn't marry into this family for that. If you want an heir so badly, why don't you have one yourself?" With that, I stormed out of their house. I decided that the $1,000 would come out of my husband's allowance. When they returned from their trip, they called my husband and Sophie over to their house. While I was curious, my mind was preoccupied with planning Sophie's 5th birthday party. It's challenging to plan a birthday party for a child this age. Who to invite? Since Sophie's friends who invited her to their birthday parties, we have to return the favor and invite them. But there's a limit to the number of guests we can have. Then what party food to prepare? We also have to consider the budget and her present. Of course, we are planning a family party in the evening. My brain cells were completely overloaded. My brain is craving sugar. I need to recharge. I ate 3 of my favorite custard puddings and finally came up with a plan. Feeling a bit relieved, my husband and daughter came back from my in-laws' house. But our usually cheerful daughter quietly went to her room and shut herself in. When I asked my husband what was wrong, he replied, "Nothing happened." No way, that can't be true. It's our routine to greet each other cheerfully, matching our always lively daughter. This was the first time it didn't happen. When I went to check on her, I found her quietly crying. "What's wrong?" "Grandma told me I'm not needed, so I had to stay outside the whole time," she sobbed. What? Unbelievable. It seemed like something unimaginable had happened. "They only gave me a bottle of water, and I was outside in the heat the whole time," she continued. "And what about Dad?" "Dad was inside with Grandma, eating watermelon." "What?" I stormed out of the room and confronted my husband. "How could you leave Sophie outside in this heat? While you stayed cool inside?" "As a father, no, as a human being, aren't you ashamed?" I exploded with anger. But my husband, unusually defiant, retorted, "She was being too noisy, so I sent her outside. I made sure she stayed hydrated, so there's no problem." Right? That's unacceptable. Kids are supposed to be a bit noisy. As I raised my voice further, he tried to deflect, saying, "The only noisy kid among the relatives is Sophie. Girls just don't cut it. As Mommy says. We need a boy soon." "What are you talking about? The gender of a child shouldn't matter." It seemed he had been brainwashed by his mother, acting more authoritarian than usual. "If you keep this attitude, I'm considering divorce." "You're serious?" I said, trembling with anger. I couldn't believe he would say such a thing. "Mom says I should just divorce a wicked wife like you and find a younger one." Maybe she's right. Fine. I have my plans too. But at least, let's properly celebrate Sophie's upcoming birthday. All right. Let's both cool off and talk later. I realized their true intentions. That night, I didn't have the energy to cook, so Sophie and I went to a nearby family restaurant. My husband said he was going back to his parents' house and drove off again. Later, he called to say he'd be staying with them for a while but would return for Sophie's birthday. I lied to Sophie, saying, "Grandma is sick, so Dad went to take care of her." "Okay," she replied, seemingly trying to be considerate in her own way. I confided everything to my parents. Put her happiness first. If she's happy, you'll be happy too. We're here for you both. You can come here anytime. We'd love to see our granddaughter every day, my father said with a smile. Their house had enough space for us, and moving back wouldn't be an issue. School would be a bit farther, but it was manageable. The natural environment there was outstanding. Maybe we should separate now. The thought of divorce crossed my mind. Then came Sophie's birthday. I had informed my husband of the party time. We planned a party with her friends during the day and a family celebration in the evening. But he didn't show up on time. "Mom, why is Dad late?" "What happened?" "Yeah, Dad is busy, so he might be a bit late." But I thought to myself, this is way too late. An hour past the planned time, I knew something was wrong and called him. "What's going on? Why aren't you back yet?" "Hey, is that you? What's up? Why are you calling this late?" "What do you mean, what's up? You said you'd be home for Sophie's birthday. She's waiting for you without even touching her food." "Oh, it was today, right? Maybe he's a bit drunk. He seems kind of goofy. We're in Australia right now. Mommy wanted to have a luxurious stay at a resort, so we're here for 3 weeks. By the way, Australian wine is surprisingly good." "What? Australia? Are you out of your mind? Did you forget it's Sophie's birthday? Who cares about that? I'm not interested." I could hear my mother-in-law's voice in the background, supporting his outrageous statement. "Who's that? The wicked wife? Ignore her. Tell her we don't need a useless wife who can't give us a boy." Taking her cue, he continued, "I agree. I'm considering divorce and decided to go all out on this trip. We're having a great time. So don't call again." He hung up. I was in shock. Feeling a terrible premonition, I checked the joint savings account. What is this? The balance was zero. Nearly $30,000 had been withdrawn. He used our savings for this trip to Australia with his parents. I collapsed in shock, tears streaming down my face. Sophie, worried, came to me. "Mom, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Where's Dad? Isn't he coming?" "I'm sorry, sweetie. Dad can't come today. He's not coming, but it's okay, because I have you, Mom. I love you so much," she said, hugging me. No, she was comforting me. Crying, I held her tightly. "Sophie, I will always protect you." I felt something break inside me. The next day, I took action. I gathered the necessary documents. I decided to settle everything and move back to my parents' house. I vowed to shatter everything. My husband sent a photo from Australia with his mother, saying, "This luxury trip is great. No souvenirs for you as punishment. Pick me up at the station when we return." Emboldened by his mother's presence, his message was quite brazen. As if I would ever pick him up. I moved my belongings to my parents' house and packed up his things. When I told a friend from my part-time job about the situation, she offered her support. Amazingly, her husband worked for a moving company, and they agreed to transport my husband's belongings. The costs would be billed to my in-laws, and they could also store the items at their expense. Sophie and I moved to my parents' house, where they welcomed us warmly. Seeing my parents, I broke down in tears again. The day of my husband's return approached. Feeling more settled at my parents' house, I received a text from him. "I'm at the station. Come pick me up." Of course, I ignored it. He kept sending messages and calling, but I ignored everything. Eventually, a call came from my in-laws' house. Realizing it was time, I answered. Why haven't you answered my calls? Explain yourself. I no longer want to continue our marriage. Let's get a divorce, as you wished. Wait, are you serious? Divorce? You know what that means, right? Yes, because you and your dear mom seem to want that. What? Anyway, I'll be back soon. Let's calm down and talk this over. After hanging up, another call came immediately. Oh, hey. A moving truck is unloading stuff at the house. What's going on? Those are your belongings. Since you're coming back from your trip soon, I had them delivered. Please make sure to pay for the shipping costs upon delivery and don't forget about the storage fees. Packing everything was tough. But I did it for you as a favor. Stop joking. Calm down, I'm coming over now. He hung up. Sophie and I ate my mother's special crepes, waiting excitedly. When I looked at the clock and thought it was about time, the phone rang. Hello? Hey, I came home and the house is empty. Yes, it's nice and clean, isn't it? No. What is this? I don't understand. Where are you? Is Sophie with you? He was shocked to find our house completely empty when he returned. Sophie is here with me. Say hi to Dad, Sophie. Hi, Dad. I'm eating Grandma's crepes. Are you at your mom's place? Yes, we had soba for lunch, and it was delicious, she said. Taking the phone from her, I said, you'll be hearing from my lawyer soon regarding the divorce. No, but what happened here? The house is gone, and the lot is bare. His shock seemed to be directed elsewhere. I sold it. The land fetched a good price, but the house didn't, so I had it cleared. I wanted a clean break, so I took care of it while they were on their trip. What about the money from the sale? I should get a share, he demanded. The land was something I inherited before our marriage, so you have no claim to it. It's my personal asset. What? What about Sophie? Now it's a matter of custody. You've shown you are unfit to care for her by leaving her outside in the heat. I'll have custody, and you'll pay child support. And we will discuss the matter of the funds you spent with the lawyer. What am I supposed to do now? He asked. Seriously, who is he asking? That's not my concern. Follow your beloved mom's advice and find a young wife to give you an heir. We haven't even finalized the divorce yet. Tell that to the lawyer. I had no interest in continuing this conversation. One last thing, I have no intention of getting back together with you. Now, I need to start cooking dinner, so, goodbye. I hung up the phone. Mom, that was awesome. Sophie said, clapping her hands. I then proceeded with the divorce, entrusting everything to my lawyer. As expected, my husband brought his mother to the negotiations. She blamed everything on me, claiming her precious Michael was blameless. I, guided by my lawyer, did not ask for alimony but demanded a fair division of assets, including the misused savings and child support for Sophie. Despite his grumbling, he eventually agreed when faced with the prospect of taking the matter to family court. His parents sold their house to provide the lump sum payment for the settlement. After everything settled, Sophie started at a new kindergarten and quickly made new friends. Growing up in a nature-rich environment, she became an active and resilient child. My experience as a former bank employee paid off, and I found a job at a nearby agricultural cooperative. I built friendly relationships with local farmers, often receiving fresh vegetables from them. One day, friends from our old neighborhood visited and updated me on my ex-husband's situation. He followed his mother's advice and was busy trying to find a young woman to remarry. He kept pursuing the young women at his company, but his persistence and creepiness made them all dislike him, and he eventually quit his job. After that, he developed a fear of women and now works part-time at a construction company with only men. His mother still pushes for him to remarry, but given his circumstances, it's highly unlikely he'll find a willing partner. This surely means the end of their prestigious family line. She probably blames it all on me, but I don't care. I started dating a man I met at work, a fellow single parent who works at the agricultural cooperative. Both of us are divorced single parents. Our children are in the same kindergarten class, which brought us closer, and now we are looking towards a future together. I bought a used car. We can't go to Australia, but Sophie and I often drive to nearby mountains and rivers. Her smiles have truly increased since we moved here. I realize my life is dedicated to protecting this smile. Fortunately, my parents are still healthy and working. Together with my new partner, we dream of selling soba, crepes, and fresh, locally produced organic vegetables at the nearby farmers market. Today, Sophie and I drove to the riverside in our old car. The sky above is blue. As I watch her stack pebbles by the stream, I smile and take a deep breath.